we have successfully launched our Parkley application's MVP. From start to end, our user journey has been delivered and our developer team did a great job completing all the user stories in our backlog. But the story map's job isn't done yet. The remaining stories below the MVP line are not forgotten. They are our backlog future releases. This visual separation creates an incredibly clear roadmap for our team and stakeholders. What can we do in the future to deliver better value for our users over time? Planning additional releases on the story map and refining the backlog is equally important than slicing the MVP. Let's focus on what to keep in mind once your MVP is out. First and most importantly, collect and analyze real user feedback. Watch what users do, not just what they say. Use analytics, heat maps, and session recordings to see how their interaction is going with your MVP. Gather both quantitative and qualitative insights from your users. And also identify which hypotheses were validated and which weren't. The next step is to measure success against defined outcomes. Revisit the goals and success metrics that you identified before launch, whether it was an adoption rate, task completion, or retention. And also evaluate whether the MVP solved the user's problem efficiently. Don't just measure outputs, the feature that you delivered. Measure also outcomes, what value you actually delivered for your users. Every single feedback from the user helps us build the next iteration and the value proposition even better for our users. Therefore, prioritizing learnings for the next iteration is critical. Turn feedback into actionable insights on your story map to inform the team as well. Mark validated stories as proven, highlight weak spots, and identify what's missing. Use what you learned to plan your next release or enhancement cycle. Strengthen the feedback loop. Keep engaging users. They are very important, as early adopters often become your best product advocates. Make feedback a continuous process, not a one-time survey. Bring your cross-functional team together to discuss findings and next steps. Once your users started to use your application, monitor technical stability. Ensure your MVP is technically solid, fix bugs, improve performance, and monitor scalability as usage grows. Track reliability metrics like uptime, error rates, and load performance. And finally, revisit the product vision. Now that you have validated the problem and the core value, it's time to look ahead. Decide whether to scale, pivot, or sunset parts of your MVP based on what you have learned. It's important at this stage to shift from building to learning. This is what you need to become very good at. With that said, we can now use a story map and plan our second release. Based on the initial user feedback, we learned that typing the zone ID of finding the parking zone manually is too time consuming for Sarah. This immediately promotes the use GPS to suggest parking zone story into the second release. We also marked this as a great idea in earlier when we designed the solution. It's completely aligned with Sarah's needs. We also want to provide the best possible experience for her, therefore displaying GPS accuracy indicator is also a good move. Based on Sarah's feedback, we learned that sorting zones by distance, price, or rating, it would be also efficient for her. However, we can break this user story into smaller pieces that will allow us to test much easier and develop iteratively the solution. We can let our team members know that during this refinement session, before we finalizing the release, we need to consider splittable pieces in the backlog. We are considering every single feedback that we receive from Sarah. We carefully evaluating them and aligning with our directions to provide her the best possible user value, release by release. We are selecting the right user stories from our backlog to plan our second release. The story map makes reprioritization simple and transparent for the entire team. You can easily move things around the board in the backlog, overviewing prioritization on the planning interface, and of course, assign story points where it's needed. When a new feature request comes in, then you don't say no. You say that's a great idea, let's place it on the story map and see how it fits to Sarah's user journey and how it compares to the already planned release 2 features. This will ensure that you are always making user-centric decisions, not just feature-driven ones. The story map for Parkley is now your single source of truth. It's the product vision, the MVP definition, team alignment tool, and the strategic roadmap that you can always adjust and take into consideration, adapting every single feedback as you grow. By following these steps, you will build products faster and more confidently, ensuring every feature contributes directly to your users' success. It's time to build your own MVP and map out your backlog on a visual story map.